Okay. So in Detroit, there was no BMF. BMF started later on.
And yes.
Okay. So Big Meech and then eventually Terry go to Atlanta and they start to form what would eventually become BMF.
Yes.
And it really starts to really expand. They end up getting a plug with the Mexican cartel, which basically supplied them all the cocaine they needed. And they started to become one of the biggest drug dealing crews in America.
Yes.
After they went off to Atlanta and started to build BMF, were you in contact with them at all or no?
No. I hadn't talked to Demetrius in 31 years.
Wow.
But I have texted him and all that. But before I went to prison, I had I was out on bond, and Demetrius threw me a party before I went to prison. That was the last time I seen him. I went to a club called UBQ's, and I didn't even know, he had just started BMF because they kept on saying it was this guy upstairs that was just doing it up. And the people that knew me, so they knew I was dabbling too, so I want you to come meet him. And I ended up going upstairs and they ended up being him, Demetrius. So he said, I heard that you're about to go to prison, which I don't know how he heard. And he threw me a party and I looked up and I had 13 bottles of Dom Perignon coming in, floating. And he gave me a hug and then gave me a couple of dollars. And that was the last time I ever seen him. But I just want to say I love him and free my brother, Big Meech.
Okay, now what about Terry? Were you in contact with him still or no?
I seen Terry about 6 months ago.
Okay, but during that time when they went to Atlanta.
I hadn't seen Terry in 31 years.
Okay, so you never wanted to go relocate to Atlanta and join up into what they were doing. You were just doing your own thing.
After I came home from prison, I was straddling with the life of selling the crack and the cocaine and all that, and I had seen what he had did. I went to prison in 92, and 3 weeks later, 6 guys that I had been dabbling with, hustling with, were dead. In 3 weeks, from people that had killed them. So my mind was, am I gonna come back out and live this life and take a chance now? I done been to jail. The next thing is gonna be death. Or do I try to start my life over and be happy and be content? And I chose the latter.
Well, while you're attempting to transition your life to a legitimate, income, Meech and Terry are going the exact opposite direction, and they're just getting bigger and bigger. And at one point, Meech and Terry start to really become at odds with each other because Terry felt that Meech was just way too flashy and it was going to attract a lot of attention to what they were doing. And I remember BMF had actually flown me out. I think it was about 2000, maybe 4 or 5. I was a mixtape DJ, and I remember, being flown out to Atlanta, and there was the World is BMF, billboards.
Yeah.
On the side of the freeway. I meet these dudes and they roll up in like $2 million worth of cars, wearing $5 million worth of jewelry, and they're giving Cristal bottles to everyone, like it's a flyer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking around going like, this is crazy right now. Like it's clear what's happening. Like me being a complete outsider, they're like, oh, these guys are, have a record label, but it's like, okay, there's no artists that are successful on this label.
Yeah.
Blue Da Vinci's still a new artist. He's not selling records. Clearly, this money is coming legally, but they're just so over the top and flashy with it that it was crazy to me. I mean, were you hearing about this flashiness?
Yeah, I heard about it, the flashiness. Actually, I had seen a guy that I knew who was down with them, and Meech sent for me a couple times. He had asked that I want to come down there, and like I said, my life was done with that. But you got to remember, we was flashy before BMF. It's just that we had more money. More money make it flash more. Meech was already flashy. I mean, Meech was shining. We all were shining in. But as he got the more money, I guess he said, well, let me show the world who I am. I'm Big Meech.
Right. And, he even said that, I remember there was a phone interview that he said that that's what pissed off the feds like the billboards and everything else like that. I was like, oh, okay, y'all want to do all this extra shit. All right, we're going to show you what we're going to do. And there's actually an operation called Operation Motor City Mafia.
Yeah.
That was launched in Detroit. And by 2005, they were starting to indict everybody. Like there was just busts and busts and busts. I mean, did you hear when people started getting arrested?
Yes, actually, I'm still affiliated with the streets. I mean, once you be in the streets in your life and you consider OG, I still have connects that people call me. So that when they got busted, they call me like an hour later and say that they rounding them up right now. Because you got to remember, they rounded them up from Atlanta, St. Louis. But the main ones was from East Coast, Southwest Detroit, and the west side of Detroit. So that's a big thing in our neighborhood. So everybody, it was like the biggest news story out there.
Yeah, I mean, 41 people got indicted. There was 11 counts. There was 500 kilos of cocaine, 7 million in cash seized.
Yeah.
They said the organization was worth $300 million.
Yeah, I heard that.
And then one of the underbosses of BMF, a guy named Arnold Boyd, aka AR from Detroit, ends up flipping on everybody.
Yeah.
Do you know who AR is?
Rat.
You know him personally?
Yeah. He lived around the block from me.
Really?
We raised him. When I mean we raised him, it's like, you know how when you're the older guy and you have like young people that, when you play basketball or something, they want to, look up to you and all that. So he would be around us sometime and all that. But yeah, I know him. I know his whole family personally. His mama and dad and his sister was like my family's best friends.
Okay, when you heard that he flipped and started to actually testify against everybody, what you think?
He wasn't the only one. Him and his brother.
Okay.
So, I mean, what you asked me, how did I feel about it?
Yeah.
You're right. Ain't nothing else to be said. I mean, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't sell drugs if you can't go to jail. Don't sell drugs if you think you may not get killed. Don't get in this game and think it's going to be just like this. Get in the game and know what it's about. If you get caught, do your fucking time. Don't go try to tell nobody else and you just getting just as much money. But then you tell on him, don't you know, wherever you go, jail, back home or whatever, you got that label as a rat.
Well, did he end up going to prison at all, or did he completely get off by testifying?
I don't even know.
So he never came back to Detroit, to the old block or anything?
No, they ain't been back. It probably, it probably be, best for them, if they never did come back. Because like I said, people in certain places in the neighborhood take that to the extreme. So, if you want to tell, go somewhere else and live.